I'm hoping that everyone is excited about this webinar as I am. And I want to tell you why it really excites me, because I don't think that everyone clearly understands how branding is the foundation of your business. It's not who you know, because a lot of people say, I know this person, I know that person, I understand this person, I know this person, but do they really know you? Is really how you're going to grow and develop your business, and how you're going to have a foundation that is going to help your business elevate to the next level. Because without a foundation, you're like in quicksand. You're going to be sinking all of the time. And what I found in my experience is that most small business owners are struggling to get on solid footing because they don't have a solid foundation. They're always slipping. They're always falling down, coming back up for air. That's because they haven't figured out that the secret sauce is really in branding, and that's the foundation of your business. So I'm going to get you started this morning talking about how branding is the foundation of your business. One of the things I always want to talk about is what are we here to do? We're here to talk about how to define your company's characteristics so we can create brand champions. Do you realize that companies like Starbucks, Disney, McDonald's, all of those places have brand champions, but you as a business owner can have brand champions as well. Brand champions are those people who will purchase your product, defend your product. They'll go out there and they'll give their all for your product or service. Some people love Apple, some people love PCs. Whatever they love, they are actively going to be preserving that brand because that's what they love. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. You've heard a lot about me. I'm not going to bore you with all of my details. I'm just really excited and passionate about being a small business advocate. In 2008, 2009, I received an award that I was more proud of than any award that I've ever received, and that was being a minority champion of the year. And what that was is basically I'm always looking out for the next small business owner. I'm always trying to help small business owners. Why? Because I was mentored by a small business owner when I was 14 years old. He helped me to start my first business, and so I'm really passionate about this for a very, very long time, and I will continue to be passionate. So winning awards is not my thing that I set out to do. I think one of the things I always tell my team is that we win awards because we really, really care and we're really, really passionate, and other people recognize it, and then they nominate us for those awards. So I'm thankful and grateful for that. But let's get right into the agenda. Branding is the foundation of your company. I'm going to say that again. Branding is the foundation of your company. You cannot hire a person, build a vision, build a mission, build anything without first understanding the brand. It blows my mind when people come into my office and they sit down and want a consultation and they don't have an idea or a clue what a brand is. They're always talking to me about logos and website designs and all those different things, but they don't understand all that stuff is irrelevant if we don't have a brand characteristic. So we're going to give you a definition of a brand because that's where it starts. We're going to talk about your company's vision. We're going to say what makes you unique. Because if you're not unique, if you're just like any other burger place or you're just like any other insurance place, then you are not different at all. So, and then we're going to talk about how employees make the brand and what the best brands in the world do. And then we'll give you some other information that will help you follow and continue on this discussion even after the webinar. So branding is the foundation. You cannot have business objectives, marketing objectives, or marketing strategy without first understanding clearly who you are and what is your company's DNA. If your company happens to be McDonald's, right? McDonald's has a different DNA than Burger King, than In-N-Out. They all have different characteristics which attracts their audience. And the problem with most small businesses, and the reason why you can't get your business objectives out there, is because you don't understand which characteristic you want to be. And I hear it all the time. And I'll give you some blatant examples. How about if you're a maintenance company, a janitorial service? If you're a janitorial company, what are you going to clean? Are you going to do construction sites? Are you looking to do office buildings? Are you looking to do residential? Are you looking to do big houses, small houses, apartment complexes? what are you going to specialize in? Because if you tell me that you want to do all of that, you're lying. Because you cannot do all of that. You cannot be many different things to many different people. That is called a schizophrenic business. And if you're a schizophrenic business, nobody's going to buy your product or service. Yeah, you'll get lucky with a couple of blips, but nobody's going to be consistently buying your service because you change on them all of the time. Stay consistent. And that does not mean that if you're a residential company, you can't do commercial, but you have to define to the public and to the customer who you really are. You have to define that. If you don't define that, then you are in trouble. Same thing with banks. If you're a small business bank, be a small business bank. If you're a big business bank, be a big business bank. If you're a bank that does automobile loans all the time, be that bank. Or so you have to always think, what is your characteristic and how will people identify with you? Doesn't mean you can't do those other things, but you have to have one nugget, one little piece of thread that everybody can hang on to, and that's what's important when we talk about branding. And then the design and all that other stuff comes. That is some cool stuff because I started designing when I was a teenager, and I think designing is fun. But what I learned later on, a design without a characteristic or without a personality is just something on a piece of paper or something in the web space that nobody connects to. It is wonderful if you got a pretty picture, but a pretty picture where nobody connects to it is really ineffective. And that's why I'm telling you, the part that you have to get and dig deep into is what is your company's brand and what does that mean? Everything else flows from there. So let's talk about the definition of a brand, because I think every time somebody comes in and talks to me, or I have a webinar or a seminar, everybody says, well, Shaundell, the definition of a brand is, you know, it's like those horses where you seen back in the days in the Western, and they have that little a thing that is branded on them. That's what a brand is. I'm like, nope, you're wrong. Well, is it that logo? It's got to be my logo and my colors, because that's what everybody told me. It's my logo and my colors. And I say, nope, you're wrong. The intangible sum of a product's attributes, its name, packaging, price, history, and its reputation, and the way you're going to advertise. You cannot be everything to everybody. There's an intangible about you, just like if you're a person. As a person, you do have some characteristics that are unique to you. I have 6 siblings, and we all have different characteristics. We are different. And so if you can find that one space where you're different than all of your competitors, then you found that intangible. So let's talk about that intangible a little bit more, because I know people want to know. Where does that start? It starts with your company's vision. Like, who do you want to be? And I remember years ago when I started with Station Casinos, and we were talking about we wanted to become the locals' favorite. And a lot of people said, well, what does that mean? And we're saying, well, we want to be the place where everybody locally want to come hang out. They want to play slot machines, bingo, play the horses, whatever they want to do. We want them in the house. We want their whole family in the house. And we understand that their local mindset is way different than a tourist. A tourist comes to Las Vegas to lose money, have fun, get drunk, and go home. A local person wants to come and have an experience where they are engaged. A local person who is a senior who has grandchildren want to bring their grandchildren to their place. They own that casino. This is where I live. This is where I play. This is where I get my money. This is where I get my points. This is where I get my comps. They want to bring them to the movies. They want to take them bowling. So we created all of those things because we knew that was the intangible. The intangible was how people felt about being a local. So it's very, very different than someone coming to Las Vegas for an experience where they're going to get drunk, have fun, party, and go home. It's a whole different experience. So we understood that there's an intangible. There's a piece that is different, that is unique only to Station Casinos. Google has the same mindset. And I remember years ago when Google was evolving from just being a search engine and they wanted to do many other things. They had to come up with a characteristics the characteristics for Gmail, the characteristics for being a part of that whole Google network. There was a difference in how they wanted to be. They didn't just want to be another search engine. They wanted to be a part of your everyday life. So it comes back to with all this technology and everything that's going on in this world, it's all about how you treat people. How do people feel emotionally about that intangible that you bring to the table? And that special something is what that intangible is. So let's talk about what makes your company unique. What do you do naturally, organically, on an everyday basis that separates you from everyone else? What makes you unique? If you go to Seattle, and we went to Seattle recently to do work with one of our clients, and we learned that, you know, there's so many coffee places all around Seattle. It's like the coffee capital of the world or something. But they will tell you that they are not all just sucked in and dive in. They're not all about Starbucks, right? But what has Starbucks done well? Well, I'll tell you this, CEO Schultz, man, he is nailing it. What he said is he just wants this to be a place where people love to come. And he wanted it to be a place where people go home, work, Starbucks, home, work, Starbucks, home, work, Starbucks. And I've seen that. I've seen where school kids get off the bus, high school kids, middle school kids, no matter what, and they go into a Starbucks. I've seen seniors go and sit in Starbucks and read a book. I've seen business people have their meetings and congregate at Starbucks. So what's unique about them? The unique part is that they are giving you an experience where you feel welcome, you're at home, you're on the couch, whatever it is, you feel very comfortable. So it's not the coffee. It's not the coffee bean. It's not how they prepare the coffee. Because quite frankly, you can do that right in your own kitchen, right? But you have a place that you feel comfortable in, and that's the story. That's the culture. That's who they serve. They have figured it out. They've learned how to plant seeds in different people. They've learned how to turn the soil, and they've learned how to get the rewards and get everything out of it that Starbucks is looking for. And I got my Starbucks app on all the time, so I understand that. So look at this. It's what's behind the logo. It's what people feel that they're connected to. It's what the logo represents who the brand is, but the connection is made behind the scenes. The connection is made to the personality and the characteristics and the feeling of that brand. So the best brands in the world, what do that no one else can do? Is they've made a connection. And they've made a connection from generation to generation to generation. And that's what we're looking to do. We've been in business over a decade, and one of the things that I'm trying to do is make sure that there's a generational piece to our business and a generational connection. Most people say, hey, you're a marketing firm, blah, 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 blah. So what makes us different? What makes us different is we say we're a marketing firm of family and faith, and we have an internal message of care, creating a relationship of excellence. We care about people. We care about our community. We care about our employees. We care about our clients. This is what separates us from everyone else. We say what's behind the logo is that Sumnu marketing, without a doubt, cares. And that's what's important for everybody to understand. So elevating your brand, going beyond the brand, it's all about sticking to your brand promise. Those of you that are married and those of you that are not married know that we do marriage vows at the beginning of every wedding ceremony, right? So what is my promise? And you got to do wedding vows with your customers and with your community. What do you promise to do all of the time without fail? What are you promising your customers? What are you promising your community that you're going to do? And how are you going to get it done? And so it has to be a consistency. Going back to what I said about schizophrenia, do not become schizophrenic when it comes to helping out your customer or helping out your community. Customers can expect what all of the time? Like you walk into a Starbucks, they all the same. They have the same conversations. They write your name down. They ask you to pick up your drink by name. It's not like, hey, number five. It's like, hey, Shaundell, your sugar-free vanilla latte is ready at the counter. And you hear that at every different Starbucks. So there's a consistency that happens. Same thing with Nike. When I walk into any Nike store, all of the Nikes are consistent. They stay the same. The brand consistency. When I walk in, I know exactly where everything is. I know the cheap shoes in the back with the cut-off tops. I know that the women's clothing is on the right side and the children's a little bit further behind the women's clothing, and the men and sports apparel is on the left side. I understand that consistency. And then communicating your story. How many times do you tell your story? You should tell your story all of the time, because we assume that people automatically understand our story when we tell them one time. And that's the failure of most of our small businesses, is that I sent an e-blast or I made a social media post. But you should be giving people little bits and pieces of your brand and telling your story over and over and over again, to the point where they can tell your story verbatim. And that's where I think people like Disney have nailed it. Disney, oh my God. Walt Disney did an awesome job of making sure that even beyond his death, people can tell his story. And the first thing you do when you go to Disneyland or you go to Disney World is they take you in that little cottage and they tell you the Disney story going from the swampland to where it is today. And so it's very important that people understand they become a part of your culture by communicating your story. It's just like in a family. People become proud of their family when they get stories that go back to their great-great-grandparents. That is so awesome. And so one of the things that you have to think about is, how do you elevate your brand? You know your brand has been elevated when other people can tell your story. When you walk into a networking event, and people can say, hey, there's Shaundell. He has that family-owned business, and he has his daughter, and he has his wife, and he has his niece, and he has his employees, and they can tell your story. Guess what? Now you're elevating your brand to a space where you don't have to say a word when you walk in. They automatically know who you are, what you do, and how you get it done. And you didn't hear me one time talk about the marketing services or products that we do. People don't connect to products and services. They connect to personalities. They connect to characteristics. That's where most novices make a mistake, is they're saying, well, I got the best product in the world. Nobody cares. First of all, nobody cares. Again, nobody cares. What they care about is how you make them feel. So if you make them feel good, you can have a good product, but if you make them feel well, then that product looks much bigger in their eyes. So your ultimate goal is creating brand champions. And brand champions are not just customers. Brand champions can be people in the community, people who are, even some of your competitors will make brand champions for you, because they'll talk about you whether they like you or dislike you, but they're talking about you, which actually helps other people say, wow, that's an incredible business or incredible company. So how do you keep your brand alive? You got to stay alive in relevant places. And relevant places mean where people are going to identify with you the best. Once upon a time, we were consulting with a security company. And that security company was saying they wanted to be connected to managers, property managers, and they wanted to be connected to commercial developers. So I told them to go to this organization, and no offense to the chamber, but the chamber can work for them. But if they really, really want to be targeted, they would go to this organization where property managers and developers hang out all the time. So go to that organization, stay relevant in those places, because if that's your target market, then that's where you need to be. That's where you need to hang out. Now, the chamber is a great place to hang out, so don't get me wrong, but I'm saying if you want to be more targeted and specific, find some of those places like that. And then don't align your brand with bad brands. Stay on the upper level and make sure that you don't align yourself with bad brands. And always revisit your company's vision. Always go back and remind yourself who you said you were going to be and the promise that you said you would give to the community, and do what you say you're going to do. Build the brand strongly within your company. If you have employees or you have partners or anything like that, all of you have to be on the same page. And the problem with small businesses sometimes is that we feel like we don't have time to train. Well, my company makes sure we do a training day once a month. Every first Monday of the month, we do a training day. It's very important that you keep reminding your team about your vision, your mission, your goals, and what the promise is to the customer. And I tell you this, as I've seen restaurants, I've seen dry cleaners, no matter what it is, they don't practice this, and it's very important to practice it. And basically, at the end of the day, you have to live for the brand. There's nothing else that is actually going to make you build a business better over and over again than living for the brand. So let's recap. because I know I zoomed through this, huh? Let's recap and let's talk a little bit about branding how branding is the foundation. And one of the reasons I try to give people an opportunity, maybe at the end, do we do questions at the end? So questions at the end, I really want to talk to you. So I wanted to give you this information, and I'm going to give you ways that you can get more information about branding, because I know I can't do it all in this session, but I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to engage me on a different level and engage me on a regular basis. So branding is the foundation of your business, and it always amazes me that when people start with their business plan, they don't start with the brand. Like, they should start with the brand. They should say, here's what the brand is, and here's what we are going to become, and here's who we're going to become, and here's what we're going to do, and here's who we're going to impact. First and foremost, the one thing that I learned in the military is service before self. So if you have a brand, that brand is only going to work if it's serving some population, if it's doing something for somebody. If you just think that your brand is about you, that's another way of definitely going down the avenue of destruction. Because if it's about you and only you care, you can't be your only customer. You have to solve a problem in the market. Your brand has to define who you're going to serve, what you're going to do, and how you're going to solve a problem. And you say, Shaundell, well, Starbucks didn't solve a problem. Actually, it did. It solved that problem of a place for people to congregate outside of work, outside of home. Like they said, the third destination they wanted to be Starbucks. So I gave you a definition of a brand, and one of the biggest things is there's one key word, intangible. What separates you from everyone else? What makes you different? What's unique about your brand? And then your company's vision, don't forget, keep going back to that, because that helps you to stay glued back to the brand. And what makes you unique? Employees definitely make the brand. Think about how internally you have to spend time on training. You have to spend time connecting them to the brand. You have to spend time nurturing them through the brand, because, yeah, that's your idea as a small business owner, but they have to feel your idea. They have to feel your passion. They have to love your brand, and they have to always emulate your particular brand. The best brands in the world, guys, this is what they do well. This is how they make it happen. They always make sure that they're connected to their loyal brand champion. So, and elevating your brand above your competition and then keeping your brand alive is all about you making sure you're focused on somebody other than yourself, which is your loyal brand champion, who can be your customer or someone in your community. So I just quickly give you some ideas. We do the Sumnu Solution Zone. It's a series of online courses that I've created. I think we're doing like 48 courses this year on video and almost 40 to 50 podcasts, different things like that I've done. And in addition to that, that allows people to connect with me. And it's all about increasing your brand awareness so that you can build loyal brand champions. So ultimately, you know how to get constant cash flow, which is the secret to growing and developing your business. Having constant cash flow is a big problem for most businesses, but it's not because they don't know how to manage cash, it's because they don't have cash to manage. So if you don't have cash to manage, then, there's no way it's going to go. So I encourage you, if you know small businesses and people like that who want to understand how to build a brand and how to build a constant cash flow, to encourage them to talk more about the Sumnu Solution Zone. The great thing about it is I have the opportunity and I have the blessing to be a mentor to thousands of small businesses through this wonderful tool created by my daughter. She decided that instead of me working through many small businesses, she wanted to spread this out to thousands of small business owners. So the one thing about going to the Sumnu Solution Zone is I want you to go there with the mindset that you're going to have a spiritual connection. It's not anything like you've ever seen before. It's not like going to college. College, I get it, but it's a good thing. I'm proud of attending college and going to college. But I'm talking about a spiritual connection with your customers. This is what I'm trying to do inside the Sumnu Solution Zone. I'm doing a lot of different blogs. You'll see a lot of blog information. You'll see a lot of videos. You'll see a lot of different things that can really help you to grow and develop your business. And I love what my daughter has done with this site. And Brianna's our Sumnu specialist. She does an awesome job of making sure it's updated. Look at all these different helpful resources. And these right here are free of charge. People can go in and read read a lot of my different blogs and look at it and see a lot of information and see how you could take your business to new heights. There's so much information that is already on the site. So it's the world's largest marketing community for small businesses. So if anybody wants to check that out and solve your marketing problem, we can definitely help you out with that. So I'm really excited and blessed to have the opportunity with the Metro Chamber. I'm on the business council for the Las Vegas Metro Chamber. The Metro Chamber is one of those places, and I just wrote, I'm writing an article about it, but I recently posted. I don't think people know how to understand how to use chambers, and I'm really, really intrigued at how people feel the chamber can be a benefit to them. But I think the problem is that people don't know how to utilize the tool of the chamber. One of the biggest things about the chamber is, again, it goes back to what I said in the beginning. It's not about who you know, because that's what people do when they go to chambers. They're like, well, now I know this person, know that person, know that person. It's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. So what I say when you go to a chamber is you put in work. You don't actually go to a chamber and you go to these networking breakfasts and luncheons and all that. That's cool. But what you do inside the chamber with committees and volunteerism and being a part and being actively engaged in your chamber, not just investing the dollars but investing the time, then people get to know your brand. People get to understand who you are and what you do. And again, it goes back to your characteristic and making a connection. I never walk into a room and I don't walk out, and I walk out where people don't know who I am. That's intentional, because if they don't know who you are, they can't purchase from you, they can't buy from you, and they can never become a loyal brand champion. So I do thank the Las Vegas Metro Chamber. I've been a member of the chamber for well over a decade, and I'm so excited to be a part of a great organization that helps bring educational options and webinars like this one to you. So thank you again to the chamber. Thank you to Mary Beth and her team and doing an awesome job, and Rachel and Danica and bringing this whole piece together. So I'm always grateful to the chamber for the opportunity to share with our fellow members. So with that, I'm open for questions.
Okay, so we'll switch it over to questions and Q&A, and I'll unmute the friends who are on the phone. So
the conference has been unmuted.
Oh, wow, it's telling us it's unmuted. So if you guys have any questions you want to ask, feel free to use the chat bar or speak over the phone if you're using that. I'll ask a question because I had a few, or, I'll just make a note, because the thing about when you were talking about station casinos is that resonates so hard if you're a local, because I can say for a fact that I refuse to go to the Strip. When people come here and they're like, oh yeah, let's go to the Strip, I'm like, why? So you can spend your money on gambling and alcohol? Sunset is my home, and I go there, and that's where I go to the movies. That's where if I need to go and I want to do like a buffet or anything like that. So I can say for a fact that I know stations have nailed that, and they target their audience. But does anybody have any questions? One question they would like to bring forth? Yes?
Have to unmute?
No? Any questions? Let's see here. Flag a question. No questions in there? Nobody has any questions?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, no questions today then, everybody. If you do have any questions, or you want to reach out to Shaundell, he's more than happy to, answer your questions if they pop up afterward, and you take this information back to your team and say, hey, this is what I've learned, and you want to continue marketing and branding yourself and moving forward with your business. Definitely reach out to us at the chamber. We can connect you to the people that you need to be connected to, and then reach out to you as well.
Thank you. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, and this is going to conclude the first Chamber U of the spring semester. Stay tuned for next week's Chamber U. We're doing drug testing in Southern Nevada. So we'll be talking about that. And then you can always email Danica. She's out for today at Leadership Las Vegas. But if you email her, you can always get notes on the upcoming Chamber U's, because we have that forecasted all the way out until March. So thank you guys all for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm going to attempt to exit this meeting now. Here we go.